Today, I wanted to give you a straightforward update on the Williamsburg real estate market summer 2026 edition. And the bottom line is this: buyers have more choices, but Williamsburg home prices are still holding strong. Hey everyone, I'm Spencer Whealton with Lismore and Associates. This is not the frantic market we experienced a few years ago when homes were selling almost immediately and buyers sometimes felt like they had to make a decision within hours, sometimes minutes. But it is also not a weak market. Williamsburg is moving towards something that feels a little more normal and a little more balanced. Buyers can take a breath, compare a few properties, and make a more thoughtful decision. Sellers can still get a strong result, but they need to have to be more intentional about pricing, condition, and presentation. Let's start with inventory because that is probably the biggest change we are seeing. At the end of May, the greater Williamsburg area had 1,023 active listings. That was an increase of more than 14% compared the same time last year. That does not mean Williamsburg suddenly has too many homes for sale. We are not dealing with an oversupply. What it does mean is that buyers are more likely to have multiple homes to consider. They may be able to look at a property, sleep on it, discuss the decision without automatically assuming the house will be gone the next morning. Of course, the best homes can still move quickly. A home in a desirable Williamsburg neighborhood that is updated, clean, and priced correctly may still attract plenty of attention and sometimes multiple offers, but buyers are becoming more skeptical and selective, especially when a property needs work or appears overpriced. Now, let's talk about price. Across the broader greater Williamsburg market, the median sales price in May was approximately $469,000. That was an increase of about 3.5% from the year before. Within Williamsburg itself, the median house sales price was approximately $441,750, which represented a year-over-year increase of about 10.4%. That 10.4% number is certainly attention grabbing, but it is important to keep it in perspective. The city of Williamsburg is a relatively small market compared with the entire greater Williamsburg area. When fewer homes are sold, the types of homes that happen to close during a particular month or year move the median price up or down fairly quickly. So I would not take that number to be mean that every Williamsburg homeowner suddenly gained 10% in value. The broader 3.5% increase probably gives us of a more stable picture. Values are continuing to rise, but at a slower and more sustainable pace. That is generally a healthy sign. We do not necessarily want price increasing at the extreme pace we saw during the pandemic market. Moderate appreciation is easier for buyers, more predictable for sellers, and generally more sustainable over the long term. So, how quickly are homes selling? The greater Williamsburg market recorded 377 sales in May, with the home spending on average of 33 days on the market. The average sold to ask ratio was 100%. In simple terms, homes were selling for an average of roughly what the sellers were asking. That tells us two things. First, there is still a real buyer demand in Williamsburg. Second, proper pricing matters. A 100% average does not mean every seller received their full asking price. Some homes sold above asking, while others required price reductions or negotiations. But overall, buyers are still willing to pay strong prices when they believe the home offers good value. Mortgage rates are also shaping the market. At the beginning of July, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was reported at approximately 6.43%. That was slightly lower than the 6.67% average from the same time the previous year. Rates are still high enough to impact affordability, but buyers appear to be adjusting. People are still moving because of the job changes, growing families, retirement, military relocations, or simply because their current home no longer fits their needs. Many buyers are no longer waiting for the perfect interest rate. Instead, they are focusing on finding the right home at a payment they can comfortably afford. So, what does all of this mean if you are buying in Williamsburg? You have more opportunity than you did a year or two ago. You may have more homes to choose from, a little more time to make a decision, and possibly more room to negotiate, depending on the property. But you should not assume that every seller is desperate or that every home will accept a low offer. Well priced homes in desirable locations are still attracting serious buyers. The best approach to this understand the recent comparable sales. Know your monthly payment before you begin touring and judge each property individually. Now, what does this market mean for Williamsburg sellers? It is still a good market, but it is no longer a careless one. You cannot simply place a home on the market at any price and assume buyers will compete for it. Buyers have more options now. They are comparing your home with other available properties based on price, condition, updates, photographs, and overall presentation. The homes that are performing well are the ones that are prepared properly, priced realistically, and marketed professionally. The broader market outlook also emphasizes that buyers have more selection, while sellers still succeed when their homes are well prepared, well priced, and well marketed. One final point: there really is no single Williamsburg market. A home in Kings Mill will behave differently from a property in Ford's Colony. New construction in Upper York County may compete differently than an older home in Colonial Williamsburg. Condominiums, townhomes, waterfront properties, and entry level single family homes can all move at different speeds. That is why broad market statistics are helpful, but they are not only the beginning of the conversation. The real question is what is happening in your neighborhood, your price range, and your type of property. Overall, Williamsburg remains a strong and desirable housing market. Buyers have more breathing room, sellers still have an opportunity to achieve a good result, and prices are continuing to show support. The market is simply becoming more thoughtful. If you are considering buying or selling in Williamsburg and want to understand what these numbers mean for your specific situation, feel free to reach out. I'm Spencer Whealton with Liz Moore and Associates. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next Williamsburg market update. Any questions? Just reach out.